Exactly how many Spider-Man does it take to break the space-time continuum? Also, Mark Wahlberg says, "Say hi to your family for me," on today's episode of The Real Review. So stay tuned.
Welcome to The Real Review.
Welcome to The Real Review, sponsored by Parametric and Lazy Ape Studios, where you get some of the latest happenings, real thoughts, and perspectives in the world of film and television. I'm here with Mr. Matt. I don't feel so good. Hey.
Oh, okay.
That's a deep one.
And everybody, I am here with Joel. Say hi to your mother for me, Cunningham.
Have we done that one? I feel like we've done.
It's possible, but we're getting close to 100 episodes, Joel.
That is true. At this point, we might be duplicating.
It's special.
Some of our. It is special.
Yeah,
we
special.
have to. We'll have to think of special nicknames for each other.
Yes.
For our 100th episode,
Yes.
I'm already brainstorming.
Do it.
Anyway, welcome to the podcast.
Yes.
As mentioned in the intro, we're going to be talking about two films today. Both of them Matt had a chance to see. I only had a chance to see Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be talking about that one, but looking forward to hearing your discussion on Instant Family.
Totally.
And all that fun Wahlberg-ness.
Yes.
He's gotten better to me over
Yeah.
the years. It's funny.
Oh yeah, he's great.
You know,
Mark Wahlberg's great. I love
when
Mark
when he first started popping up in films as much as he did, I was kind of like, it's always like that. It was a Mark Wahlberg. It's kind of a joke, but over the years, he's grown a little better for me. Anyway, Matt, why don't we give our listeners some ways to get connected? Would you do that for us?
Y'all can get connected with us a number of different ways. One of them being our website, which is realreviewmedia.com, and you can connect to all of our social media channels through there, which is Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at Real Review Media, youtube.com/The Real Review, all that fun stuff. And email us at realreviewmedia@gmail.com.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Perfectly done, Matt. And just to give you a brief breakdown of kind of how Matt and I do things, Matt tends to be a bit more of the fan perspective kind of exciting. We were just talking about John Wick 2, for example.
I like John Wick 2.
Which I think was a great fan film because it kind of expanded the universe. But for me, as like a film guy, I was like, I didn't like it at all. So
I really like John Wick 1. John Wick 2 I really liked, not as much as John Wick 1, but I'm excited for the third one.
And I liked 1, 2 was like, but like, the way this works is Matt tends to have more of the fan side. I tend to have more of the critic kind of analytical side. And we put those together to give you what we believe is a real thought.
Yes.
And a real review on films.
Word.
So, and we're inviting you to join us. Word. We're still learning and growing in the world of film and television. There's always new things happening. So, we're excited to have you along the ride and the journey. Cool. Ding. Why don't we get into our film reviews then? So we're going to start with our first one, which again, we both had a chance to see. And it's kind of the big release of the weekend here.
For sure.
It's a little film called Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Synopsis for this: Miles Morales becomes the Spider-Man of his reality and crosses paths with his counterparts from other dimensions to stop a threat to all reality. Directors are Bob Persichetti, Peter Ramsey, and then I think there's one more actual director that was a part of the project, Rodney Rothman. It stars the voice acting of a number of different people. Shamik Moore is Miles Morales. Jake Johnson is Peter B. Parker, I should say. Haley Stanfield is Gwen Stacy. Brian Tyree Henry as Jefferson Davis. Uncle Aaron is Marshala Ali. Lily Tomlin is Aunt May. She did a great Aunt May, I thought. Zoe Kravitz as Mary Jane.
Solid.
John Mulaney as Spider-Ham. And then Penny Parker is Kamiko Glenn. And of course, I can't not mention Nicolas Cage as Spider-Man Noir.
Yep.
So, there's a couple other people in there. We might get to them. Chris Pine was in there. Catherine Hahn. So, Matt, why don't you start with giving us your thoughts?
I went in with very little expectation.
Yeah.
Not really excited to see it, but I was interested because people were talking about it. So I found myself rather enjoying the film.
Nice.
So let me just say right off the bat, it's not amazing, but I did find myself with basically a kind of one of those like perma-grins kind of throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot there that I was just very entertained with. Overall, really liked it. You want to give an overall thought before we get into positives?
Sure.
Go ahead and do it.
Yeah, I've had a mixed history with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really know what to expect. This kind of came out of nowhere for me personally. Usually I'm at least aware, a few months in advance of a
You didn't like
project coming
dancing
out.
Tobey Maguire Spider-Man?
That was my favorite part, man.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Favorite of the saga.
Yeah. So the first two, I go way back to when I was a kid watching the Spider-Man cartoon. I think it was on FX or Fox or
don't
something
know.
like that. Yeah. And really enjoyed that as a kid, with the original. Yeah. Anyway, Spider-Man. So I really enjoyed that. And Spider-Man is kind of, there's probably a couple in there, but he's one of my top superheroes
Nice.
as far as all time. And really enjoyed, for the most part, the Sam Raimi, the first two. The third, not at all.
Yeah.
And then Andrew Garfield, very much a mixed bag for me. And then additionally, lastly, we had Spider-Man Homecoming. I didn't really like all that much. You remember?
We talked about it. Yeah, I liked.
That
I
was
liked
another one we
Homecoming.
kind of diverged a little bit.
We parted ways
Yes.
slightly.
So this one, I was kind of a bit like, well, they're going back much more so to comic book origins and comic book story.
Yep.
This one is very, very, very much like a comic book movie.
Oh, totally.
I mean, down to the art style.
Yeah. Can I talk about that for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because that was right from the get-go my absolute favorite part about this movie. It felt like a comic book. It was the style in which the graphics were made.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that before. I can't think of anything like that. It just looks awesome.
Yeah.
Like it's not like flat like a cartoon, but it felt real, but like comic booky. I can't even explain it. It looked awesome.
Yeah.
And then it had all the like comic book sound effects and page tiles and stuff like that, and the inner monologues and stuff like that.
There's some really funny ones. There was like a part where he grabs a bagel and actually did because they do sound effects and actually did bagel sound effects. So it's like bagel. It's like, this is really funny.
I know.
Things like that.
Clever.
Yeah,
Clever
and
stuff.
It's one of those movies that I think in rewatching you'll even see more.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm sure I didn't get all of that at all.
And I really like that as well. I think we'll get more into that when we get there to talking about that. But just to kind of really briefly, high level, myself. So went into it not really knowing what to expect because I've had such hit or miss type experiences, but then ended up really enjoying it as well.
That's cool.
I don't think I'm as huge a fan as maybe. I feel like this film for sure is going to have a cult following. It's going to be one of those ones where people just embrace this as like the best Spider-Man ever.
It's doing amazing. It's going to get a sequel.
Amazing. Yeah. I am excited for that, but I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
Which is good. So much more so than my last couple iterations of the Spider-Man universe type stuff.
Which is really interesting to me because they played a scene of this movie as a stinger at the end of Venom.
Right.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, it was very interesting. Yeah.
I'm like, so now I'm thinking like, what are they going to do? How are they going to tie that into it? Anyways, other positives, voice acting, great. I love hearing, everybody that's in it. Nicolas Cage was obviously was like, hey, that's cool. And it was just really good. So here's the thing. Like I said, I don't think it's amazing, but I really, really had a good time. I think the strongest thing this movie has going for it is I was really interested and invested in Miles Morales and his character. Yeah. I really like that. Everything with him was just my favorite stuff. Even the kind of deeper, more serious moments, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm on board with what the writers and directors were going for here. Yeah, and really, really appreciated that. So I was good. Do you have any other specific to that?
There was a number of different areas I think was really impressed and happy with. I think they did a really cool thing with the father-son relationship. In the film. The original, I think one of the reasons why it was so cool to me is because we're probably all familiar with this now, but in the original, Spider-Man's parents are dead. Yeah. And he kind of has this weird fatherly bond with his uncle, which ends up getting taken away. And that kind of is what launches him into, being Spider-Man, and with great power comes great responsibility and all those types of things. And I will say this as well as kind of a side note, but I love how they played with but respected sort of the historical and the other context of the Spider-Man films. Yeah. They kind of poked fun in it a little bit. Yeah. But even with that saying, with great power comes it, the guy's like, don't you say that, 'cause it's a really important saying to him. Right. So it's it's really cool how they were so self-aware to the point where they could add to the film and not just
comic
poke fun
books
at it.
of Spider-Man.
Right.
In Spider-Man.
Exactly.
It was... And what's really cool is you get to see the different iterations of everything and all the different dimensions that kind of come together. And one of my favorite lines in the movie is like, hey, I bet he's going to say this next. And like he says it. I was
That's
like,
so great. Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
And also how like, I don't know, they're just the way that they're to incorporate all of that stuff together. And every time you meet a new Spider-Man, you get a really quick like origin story.
Yeah.
You see a real
well,
quick
and
origin story.
it's funny because it's playing off the fact that we've had so many Spider-Man origin stories at this point, I think, but at the same time, and there is so many different Spider-Mans out there at this point.
Yeah.
But it kind of is like, they did it in a fun way.
Yeah.
They did it in a way that actually aided in the story. And that was part of the fun as well for me, is watching for those little moments where they were breaking, the fourth wall, or breaking kind of like that standard for what you'd expect from a super standard superhero movie.
Right.
They were so willing to go just off the wall with the visual style. The colors were so vibrant at times and just like blossoming. And then there's other moments where it would feel more flat and almost like they were just trying to embrace that comic book panel style. And I just love that. But my original point was that I just really enjoyed how it kind of added the importance of that father-son relationship with Spider-Man, and that could have been taken away, but it was such an important part to the movie that his
really
father
good.
was there, and that relationship, how that kind of played out in the film.
Yeah.
So I loved that. I loved the individual characters as well. All the different Spider people had a great, distinct personality, and they all felt different, and not just like token different, but they felt like distinctly different in their own way. Like Nicolas Cage's noir version was hilarious, and then the spider robot was like so weird. Yeah, because it's like you've got noir Spider-Man and regular Spider-Man.
It's like anime drawing.
Yeah, exactly. But then you have the anime version, which is literally looks like an anime character, and then you have the cartoon version, which literally looks like a cartoon character. Yeah. And all of them had their moments too.
Yeah.
You had that serious moment with the Porky Pig version of Spider-Man, where he's like a cartoon, and he gets all serious. So anyway, Spider Ham.
Yeah, Spider Ham.
Yeah.
And I was actually thinking later, I was like, is that like a poke at the Simpsons? Like Spider Pig.
I thought maybe that was it.
Well,
yeah,
maybe that's where they got. I don't know.
I thought that might be where they came from, but it was still funny.
Yeah,
and it wasn't. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's an enjoyable movie. It's hard for me to actually come up with anything concrete that I can like put in the negatives, other than the fact that maybe some of the action towards the end felt a little generic to me.
Yeah.
But overall, I enjoyed myself. It's hard for me to kind of put a label on why I didn't feel amazed by it.
Right. I think the reason that it kept from being, I'm gonna hold back on saying why, but I'm gonna say why I think it is, but I'm not gonna say what I would have done because I do that too much.
Okay.
I think what it was for me is that the stakes weren't really significant. You
Maybe
kind
that's
of
what it was.
knew where everything was going to go.
Oh, yeah. I think my problem was the villain.
Right.
Yeah.
I knew the villain was interesting, but I'm like, he's going to lose.
Yeah.
He's not going to destroy the universe. And the film was so much, in a good way, but also kind of to its detriment, about the individual characters and their story, and the Peter B. Parker with, the Miles Morales Peter Parker. Right. And how he was going to become Spider-Man. It was so much about that and the relationship he had with his uncle and his father that the actual threat was very low. Yeah. Very small. And there was never a moment where I'm like watching this from like, okay, well, they're going to kill that Spider-Man. Right. Or they're going to kill. Yeah. I'm not going to give the spoilers here, but like the beginning of this, you kind of know what's going to happen. Yeah. Because we've already talked about Miles Morales becomes the Spider-Man. Right. And I was hoping that there would be I don't know. The threat wasn't tangible enough.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing. I mean, it's kind of, I think I felt the same. You get a little bit of the villain is Kingpin. That's in the trailer, but he was great, by the way, to me. Right. Visually, he was really freaky. Yeah. So abnormally. He didn't seem like a human to me.
No, he didn't. Yeah.
And I think that might be why I had a hard time with him. Like, I thought he was visually he's menacing. Mm-hmm. He's also the size of a rhinoceros in the movie, Yeah. But they tried to give this backstory, and I didn't fully buy it because they didn't spend enough time with the villain just in general, I think.
Right. They gave him a backstory, and I understand why. And usually I'm like, that's good. I want my villains with a backstory because I want to know where their motivation comes from. But this film almost felt like it needed to just have him be the bad guy to be the bad guy. Right. That he wanted the power to have the power, and adding... again, adding too much to that side of things,
Yeah.
it kind of took away him being like he was a threat, but because you kind of feel for
Yeah.
him, you're like, well, I kind of see where he's coming from.
Yeah.
He's trying to do the right thing, but he's going about it all the wrong way.
Yeah.
Like he's trying to bring his family back.
But he doesn't ever give you a way to like get on board with him. Like there's never
Right.
Yeah,
I'm not saying what he was doing was right.
Right.
It's just that you understand his reasons for doing
Sure.
things, which in a normal everyday film without all this other stuff going on would have been fine.
Mm-hmm.
But because there was so much going on, it was like it just kept distracting me from the idea that he was like there was this big threat and they're trying to destroy not destroy the world, but they were potentially going to and stuff.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool.
cool.
Any other? Can you think of any other negatives or anything
No,
like that?
I think that encompasses maybe why I didn't feel over the top excited about it, but I thought it was good.
My last one, and then we can kind of give our review
Yeah.
and everything. I just felt like the pacing was really fast. And I know that sounds stupid, and everybody's going to be like, well, it's a comic book. It's supposed to be. It's a kid's movie. But it was just a couple moments where I'm like, whoa, I just need to give me a few seconds beat here.
I didn't feel that way.
kind of-
I'm thinking about it now, but okay.
It was just a lot of the pacing of the action. It was just really
Sure.
quick, jumping around. And, even the initial interaction with Miles Morales and Peter B. Parker is like they're just quick, boom, bop, shoot. And I'm like, I don't even know what happened. And then they're running, and then there's just a lot going on really quickly. And it's like, again, I think that's going to lend itself to rewatchability because
Sure.
I'll be able to go in and pick up little nuances of like, oh,
For
look
sure.
at that random person in the background, like doing that thing or something. Or the sign might say some other reference to some other project or something. So, yeah, I thought it was cool. One last note, and I will say this without spoiling it.
Okay.
I really enjoyed the after credit. I don't know if you stayed all the way to the
I
end.
didn't see it.
Oh, you didn't see it?
No.
Oh, it's hilarious.
You tell me about it later.
I
off the
will. It
record.
was a meme. Like it
damn.
kind of ties
Okay.
into where they're taking the next movie, I'm sure. But it also was very much a joke.
Why did
and
I
meme.
leave?
I don't know. We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
What was your rating?
Oh man. Okay, so I'm gonna go 86.
All right, I'm gonna give it an 85. So
Hey-o.
yeah, right in line again.
Yes.
So yeah,
It's been a good run on that. Run
There
on
you
those
go.
right in line ones.
absolutely. So then let's move into the other film that you had a
Yeah.
chance to see. And just a note, we'd love to hear your thoughts on Spider-Man.
Totally.
So definitely send them if you can get us
Definitely.
if you get a moment.
So yeah, I got to see, and this next movie, Instant Family, is what I got to see. It's a couple of weeks old, but I really wanted to see it, and I just never got a chance to. So I finally got around to seeing it. So it's directed by Sean Anders. Okay, it's just about a couple. They find themselves in over their heads when they foster 3 children. Again, that's a very generic IMDb
description.
description. Stars Mark Wahlberg, Rose Byrne, Isabella Monet, Gustavo Quiroz, Juliana Gomez, Octavia Spencer, Tig Notaro, a bunch of other people, as usual. And I like this movie. I have a hard time with comedies, movies that are comedies.
Just
in general?
Oh, wow.
Like I love comedies, but
Yeah.
I feel like I'm so disappointed by comedies frequently. Like
Yeah.
I feel like it's only like there's usually like a handful of good comedies that come out a year, but like 100 of them that aren't good, you know?
Yeah.
So one thing I like about this, and I'm kind of finding a theme here, is this movie is good as a comedy only, in my opinion, because it has like this deep heart element to it that I really, really enjoyed. The connection with these kids that they decide to adopt, their interactions with them. Sometimes they feel really raw and like emotional, like wow. And then other times it's like, they're playing that up for comedy. Just overall, I really like the movie. It's really acted well. I don't know how I feel about Rose Byrne as a comedic actress. Not necessarily.
We talked about that. I see her very much as she's a really good person to bounce jokes off of.
Sure.
Straight person. She's great in Bridesmaids and stuff.
Mark Wahlberg is good. And he's just, and you had mentioned this earlier, he's getting better and better all the time. Mark Wahlberg's great.
His acting chops have come into full. It was almost like after a while when I saw him in the robots. Transformers. When I started seeing him, and I'm like, you're better than this, Mark Wahlberg. Which when he first was in there, I was like, yeah.
Patriots Day. That movie is my favorite Mark Wahlberg's performance.
Yeah.
The kids are great too. There's elements in the kids that remind me of my own kids that I was kind of like feeling a little bit for. And I think that's where probably a lot of the movie won me over, is because I was able to make some of these connections. And I have a lot of friends and family that are into foster and adoption, and we're big like champions of that and wanting to see people do that. And it's amazing. It's really amazing. And they kind of joke about it throughout the movie, but there's a lot of really good points and things that are brought up about fostering and adoption and all that stuff throughout the film. So that was really cool. I liked it. I would say only about half of the jokes worked for me though.
Okay.
And the ones that did work, I was laughing out loud.
Okay.
I can't even say it's a spoiler. I was just thinking about it a little bit ago, and I started laughing out loud. And yeah, anyways, but I think the humor, it needed a little bit more fine tuning.
Okay.
But for about half of it, I thought it was good. The other half is like meh. Overall, enjoyed it. Nothing really negative about it. I think it spent all the right time it needed to spend in the right places with the right people. The pacing was pretty good. And yeah, I said, any questions on it at all? Or
No, it seems
really.
like a pretty straightforward type film.
It was good. It's
It's kind of a fish out of water story for the kids and family.
both, actually. Yeah.
And the parents,
there's a lot of humor. I think maybe the humor didn't work because they tried to make it funnier when it should have been not funny at times.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I enjoyed it. I'm going to give it an 83.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
It's a good weekend for us, Matt.
It is a good weekend.
Overall, yeah.
Yep. I
And,
enjoyed it. It's
yeah.
good. We got actually a lot of movies coming out this week.
We do.
It's like Aquaman,
yeah.
Bumblebee, Mary Poppins.
Yeah, the big
It's crazy.
the big one is for sure Aquaman, but
Yeah.
those other two are definitely going to be interesting to see. Bumblebee's
man.
getting good reviews,
Yeah,
surprisingly.
it is.
And
Surprisingly.
I have not checked into anything too much on Mary Poppins.
It's getting decent reviews.
Okay.
Not amazing, but decent. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure
Anyways.
about that. Jury's out. But
Okay, jury.
anyway, we're going to go ahead.
Objection, Your Honor.
I object. Mary Poppins, objection. We're going to go
Sustained.
ahead and wrap things up on the podcast. Reminder, a couple ways to get connected for you. We have our website, which is realreviewmedia.com. We have Facebook, which is facebook.com/realreviewmedia. We have our Instagram and Twitter, which are both at Real Review Media. And if you would love to watch this podcast instead of listening, or both, if you want to go watch it on YouTube, we do record and do video for 90% of our podcasts. You can check it out on YouTube at youtube.com/therealreview.
Do it.
Do it. And last but not least, we'd love to hear from you, your thoughts and perspectives on this film or any of the ones we have talked about, or if you want us to try and do anything special. I'm getting this wire all wrapped up in me. On the 100th episode, which we have coming up, just let us know. We'd love to hear your thoughts and perspectives at realreviewmedia@gmail.com.
Boom.
There you go. Anything else, Matt?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, then, at this point, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Hope
Feliz
it goes well.
Navidad.
Feliz Navidad. And yeah.
Malakamikalu.
Go gaga
Lucky.
maga blah.
I don't know what the Hawaiian one is.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
And say hi to your family for me.
Say hi to your
There
family
you
for
go.
me.
It's been real.
Yeah. It's been real.